I found out my ex was married thanks to the location feature on my iPad. My name is Laura, 30, and I had been in a relationship for 2 years with Ricardo, 40. In the beginning, everything seemed perfect. He was attentive, sweet, always texting good morning and good night, calling me, making plans for the future. It felt like one of those movie type relationships where you think, finally, I met a good guy. Over time, he became more and more involved in my personal life. He met my whole family, my daughter. He came to my house. He knew where I lived, where I worked, my schedule, my worries, even my insecurities. He knew absolutely everything about me. I let him into every part of my life, my home, my family, my routine, my long term plans. But if I thought about it carefully, I realized I didn't know much about him in return. I only knew what he chose to tell me, that he had 3 children, each with a different ex, and that all of his exes were crazy. He always made himself look like the victim, like life had treated him unfairly. At the time, I didn't see that as a red flag. I trusted him blindly. I kept telling myself that if he was doing something wrong, that was on him, not on me. At some point, something clicked in my mind. After 2 years of being together, I didn't even know exactly where he lived. Every time the topic of his house came up, he avoided it. Whenever I hinted that I wanted him to take me over, he got defensive, upset, and it would end in an argument. At first, I made excuses for him. He's tired. He's stressed. He doesn't want drama. But little by little, it became impossible to ignore how strange that was. Eventually, I got tired of making excuses for him. I thought, if he doesn't tell me the truth the easy way, then I'll find out the hard way. That's when I came up with a plan. I remembered that all Apple devices can be tracked between them, so I decided to use my iPad. I set everything up on my account and waited for the right moment to hide it in his car. The opportunity came. We were alone in the car for a while, and I found a spot where I could hide it without anyone noticing. I left it there, hidden for 3 days. During those days, I acted as if everything was normal, but inside I was nervous and anxious. It's that feeling in your gut that tells you something's off, even if your mind is still trying to deny it. When I finally checked the location and started to see where the iPad was moving, I noticed there was one specific place where it stayed still for long periods of time. Day after day, it would stop at the same address. That's when I realized that was probably his house. My hands were shaking, but I knew I needed the truth, even if it hurt. So I gathered my courage and went there. When I arrived, I saw Ricardo's car parked outside, and that's when the first shock hit me. I saw him. When he saw me, instead of greeting me, he acted like he didn't know me. He put his head down and quickly walked into the workshop where he worked. It turned out his house was right next to that workshop, a place I had never even heard of, despite our serious 2 year relationship. He went inside and never came back out. I stood next to his car and told myself, I'm not leaving without my iPad. And at least I'm not leaving without the truth, even if it's just for me. When I realized he still wasn't coming out, I called his cell phone. He answered with a mix of anger and sarcasm in my voice. I said, You were really happy to see me, huh? And he replied coldly, Not at all. I wasn't happy to see you. In that moment, I felt like I had been punched in the chest. I understood that the man I thought I knew for 2 years was not who I believed he was. A lot of what he had shown me was just an act. On the call, I told him to come out and give me my iPad from his car. He said it wasn't there, that he had already left on a trip. I answered, "You're obviously not on a trip. I'm outside. The factory is basically surrounded, and there's only one door, the one I'm standing at." But he kept denying it like a coward, insisting he wasn't there, that he had already left, trying to gaslight me and make me feel crazy. To keep the story from dragging forever, one of the workers eventually came out. He told me he didn't know anyone named Ricardo, that he had no idea who I was talking about. By that point, I was furious, hurt, and completely on edge. I told him, "Of course you know him. You're hall covering for him." The same worker who had just denied knowing him ended up admitting that he did know Ricardo. He told me he couldn't give me the car keys because it wasn't his car, but then he went back inside to get the keys so he could give me my tablet at least. While he went in, I stayed close to the car. Then, from the house where Ricardo lived, an older lady looked out the window. I shouted, "Good evening. Does Ricardo live here?" She looked shocked, didn't say a word, and just closed the curtain. At that moment, I still didn't know she was his mother in law and that his wife was inside the house, not coming out. The worker came back with the keys, clearly very nervous, and stood in front of me. He said, "Look, I'll tell you everything you want to know, but please stop shouting at the lady." That's when something clicked in my head. I thought, if they're protecting her like that, she must be someone important to him. I asked the worker who she was, if she was Ricardo's mother. He said, "No, she's his mother in law." In that moment, it felt like my whole world collapsed. It was as if all the pieces suddenly fit together in the worst way possible. I asked him if Ricardo was married. He said yes. I asked if he had children. He said yes. I asked for the wife's name, and he told me. I could barely process what I was hearing. It felt like I was listening to someone else's story, but it was mine. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I started crying and screaming. It honestly felt like something had died. And in a way, something did die. The image I had of him and the future I thought we were building together. After that, the worker handed me my iPad. I didn't want anything else. I just wanted to go home, lock myself in, and try to process everything I had just discovered. On the way back, I felt a mix of anger, sadness, humiliation, and strangely, a little relief, because at least now I knew the truth. Later that day, Ricardo called me, but I didn't answer. Instead, I sent him a long WhatsApp message where I told him everything I felt, that he wasn't a real man, that he disgusted me, that I hoped his wife would find out and leave him, because what he had done to both of us was incredibly unfair. She was being lied to just like I was. He called again, and this time I picked up, but I didn't let him speak. I simply repeated everything I had already written to him: my anger, my hurt, my disappointment. When I finished, I hung up and blocked him everywhere: calls, WhatsApp, social media. For me, in that moment, Ricardo stopped existing. From time to time, I still see him around the area where I work, but when he sees me, it's like he's seen the devil. He changes direction, avoids walking near me, looks away. There's nothing left to say. Later on, I found out that karma caught up with him. His wife left him, her brother threatened him and told him he never wanted to see him again, and they didn't even let him back into the house, not even to get his clothes. I also heard that at his workshop, the one that was his, they stole a lot of his stuff. That's when I said, karma is real. And I fully confirmed that when people say a woman's intuition is never wrong, it's absolutely true. If I hadn't used my iPad to find his address, I would have never discovered that he was playing me. It hurt a lot, but looking back, I'm grateful I found out because that was the first step to finally getting him out of my life.